Oh, okay, sorry, Bob. I'll start it. Jeez, chill, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of Through the Uprights with AidanTheFunny. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Ignore the fact that it says Smondays on the starting thing. Okay, jeez, okay. Ignore the fact that it says Smondays on the base graphic because I completely forgot that it said Sundays. Yeah. Yo, what's up, G? What's up, Bob? What's up, Visk? Hope everyone's having a marvelous Monday. Tomorrow's my last day before Thanksgiving break, so I'm getting freaking hyped. I'm sure everyone in here who is in school is also nearing their final days before that sweet, sweet Thanksgiving break, and I cannot be happier, even though I have a test tomorrow, which I'm going to spend the whole day studying for, so, oh, your break started last Thursday. Oh, you are lucky, my good sir. But, yeah, a good amount to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. But, yeah. So let's just hop right into it. Just wanted to play, let that banger play out a bit before, we kind of hop into things. So first, I didn't make that many graphics for, this week. I'm sorry. I've been, like, super busy. I had, like, essay I had to finish up, but I'm gonna stop giving excuses and get right into it. Oh, my classes were... Oh! Nice! Yeah, my school did not give me a full week, so yeah, you're definitely pretty lucky, Bob. I wasn't allowed to leave, so I'm just gonna ditch. That's life. I'm already doing that with my math class tomorrow. Maybe. I'll see. I'm a good student. I'm an example setter, okay? I'm a caster in the GFA. I gotta uphold my dignity. But yeah, so first let's just hop into some transactions for the week, because we did have quite a few. From last week, we know Jadarius going over to Shinigami. He's going to make his first start this week. Gonna be pretty interesting to see, especially after that banger of a PO versus Shinigami game, which we'll talk about in a few. But going into the transactions right now. So first, we got Sparks moving, ladies and gentlemen. Sparks, of course, the top RSL receiver by far from the RSL first season, and just in general has been the talk of the town for multiple months, and sitting on K9 with, again, quite the roster that they have now that Dukeman and Jipper are there, and it's just like Cam's there as well, and they got a ton of guys. A lot of rumors were going around that Sparks was going to go for a wide receiver 1 on another team, which he completely deserves, in my opinion. And it looks like his landing spot has been Kingsman, which is actually very fitting. Kingsman, as we'll talk about again a bit later, has kind of struggled a bit in the wide receiver core department. Obviously, as someone who like came in expected to be like a tier 1 team or like a very top tier 2 team by a lot of captains, that wide receiver core just isn't the same as some of the wide receiver cores, in my opinion. And I need to, okay, hold on. Oh, shit. Okay, ignore my language. Hold on, I need to get my hat for Visk. Oh, God. Alright, we got it, ladies and gentlemen. This is like the first time I put this on in so long. Oh, wait, hold on. My hair is like... I'm getting a haircut on Wednesday, but this is like getting out of control. But we got the hat on. I don't think my roommate's ever seen me with the hat, so if he comes in, he's probably going to question my sanity. But yeah. So I think Sparks is definitely going to bolster King's receiving core. Obviously, he's going to be a starter as soon as he goes in there, but him and Morgooder, I think, will definitely up that wide receiver core quite a lot. Tell me in Sparks, happy early birthday! Happy early birthday! Because I don't actually know when your birthday is, but yeah, praise the holy hat. Yeah, no, happy birthday, man. Oh, happy early birthday, and happy early birthday to Sparks if you are going to end up watching this. And I wish you only the best on Kingsman, because he's likely going to be targeted a good amount. Because again, you know, obviously a bit of a struggle for Kingsman, and Sparks going over might make Kingsman a top 5 team. We'll just have to see, because the top 5 teams haven't really changed going into this week. But anyway, taking a look at the next one that I was kind of looking at, Spades made a really weird transition. I didn't really see this coming at all. Obviously, he left Polar Opposites, talked a bit about that last week. Polar Opposites, quite the receiving core, but now losing a bit of depth as Zyle has left as well. Not sure if he's going to be playing in the GFA this season. I think he left the server, so probably not, which kind of sucks because I wanted to see him come back in some capacity, but, you know, whatever. It is what it is. But he went over to Blizzard, which I, you know, thought would be a nice transition because, you know, Blizzard, they definitely need some depth. Spades can see a top starting spot, and then suddenly Spades leaves Blizzard and goes to Pride, which I did not see coming at all because they'd have, like, I don't know if they have any connections whatsoever, but Pride reached out. I mean, Pride in their own right has been doing pretty well. I mean, Bomanik playing like Season 1, Bomanik, but, I mean, you know, it's still working. A lot of things that worked a year ago still work today. And, you know, look at that. He's going a bit crazy. And, you know, even though their record's not like 2-0 like some other teams, they're still looking pretty good. And I think Spades will definitely bolster that offense, considering how strong he was with Eric last year, both in the mid and deep game. Gonna be another target that Pride, again, kind of lacks. Other than Mata, it's been kind of weird in terms of their targets. But yeah, very interesting maneuver there from Spades. Taking a look at some of these other transactions, we got Itachi. Now, I figured that Itachi would follow Eli Rampage over to IP at some point, and again, being on K9 with all those great wide receivers over there, probably going to make a move, and he certainly did. Shipping on over to IP for, again, some much-needed wide receiver talent. Well, not really, actually, because they've been doing just fine. Good, Bad, Ugly has actually been looking pretty top-notch. So with Itachi coming over and making an instant impact, IP's going to definitely see a bit of growth in their power ranking in a bit. Yes, they are 0-2, but they still, it hasn't been like blowouts that they've lost in, and they've still shown that they do have some talent. I mean, of course, Clifton Harler still needs to pick up some speed, you know, momentum. Did miss some throws, you know, isn't like the perfect ideal quarterback, like top 5 or anything yet, but can still definitely climb up to those heights. I mean, Eli Rampage, still a great wide receiver. Itachi, still a great wide receiver. Good, Bad, Ugly is looking really great, and especially against Dragoons, he was doing really, really well in the deep game and almost touched 200 wide receiving yards. So pretty interesting to watch him. That pass protection kind of got eaten up. It wasn't like terrible, but like, you know, it's not really like top 10 competition level in my opinion. But yeah, either way, Itachi definitely going to help that team. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a difference maker in terms of playoffs, but yeah, we'll get there when we get there. Jazook, everyone complimented him as the top free agent, and he will now be going over to Darkinados, or Dark Tornadoes, or whatever everyone calls them, because honestly, I'm not hip with the terms nowadays. But yeah, Jazook, I mean, I was wondering where he was going to go. Didn't really know, because, you know, it's kind of, I didn't really see any connections between anyone or anything. But he goes over to DK, and that's going to be another boost to that team that also kind of needs a buff in their wide receiver core. Because I looked at their wide receiver core, I was like, is this going to work really? Like, is it going to work? But it is. I mean, DJK is still a great quarterback in his own respect, and his wide receiver core, I mean, like, is still, like, good. Is it, like, top 8? Like, where they're being placed kind of because of their line, which is, they also picked up As Eaton Season, so, I mean, they're looking pretty nice now, picking him up from Shinigami as he got dropped because Jadarius going over there. I thought he put up a nice performance, but honestly, you're not going to drop Regis. That's kind of egregious to think that. So yeah, I mean, DK definitely getting good. A lot of teams benefiting from trades and free agency. Or not trades, just waivers and free agency. So gonna be interesting to see a bunch of other stuff. I know Wi-Fi and Snack Pack coming over to Dragoons. You should have seen him last night. Why, is that a bad thing or a good thing? Because honestly, I haven't really seen him. I'm going to be completely honest. I think DK, I've watched like the least tape on him, so I honestly have no clue. Oh, DJ was angry. Oh, okay. You don't see that man very angry that often, so, I mean, at least I haven't seen him. But yeah, going over to the games now, because that's kind of what happened with waivers. You know, there was a lot of waiver stuff. I know Ethan also, I think, went over to DK as well, so he might make an impact there. I'm not sure if he'll be utilized over some of those wide receivers, but, you know, we'll see. Angry because he's bald? There you go. I'll be angry about that in about 15, 20 years. So, you know, gotta enjoy this while it lasts, because it does not run in the genetics. Anyway, going into the games. First off, we got that first primetime match that was presented in PowerPoint presentation format, but, you know, great game nonetheless. Both teams showing off why they are in this top 5. A great game, as I thought it was going to be, 38-35. Little less points than I thought were going to be there, but ultimately PO does come out on top. And Shinigami, again, tier 1 team, but PO, I mean, placed in that division as well. That is just, you know, quite an interesting division. It's going to be interesting to see them kind of progress through the season as they kind of fight for those 4th, 5th, 3rd even spots in the power rankings, because it's going to be really interesting in the coming days with how the teams progress. But ultimately, PO looking great, Magician and MVP looking great in both of those games, and they looked good in their sequential games after this one. And ultimately, Magician does come out on top, but, you know, similar completion percentages, similar pass rushing yards. I mean, both only threw 1 interception. Regis actually popped off a bit too, had 4 sacks on the night. But ultimately, PO coming out on top. Really nice core they got over there, too. I mean, ultimately, I think Shinigami does improve a lot with Jadarius, but other than that, not really. Going over to the next game, Title versus Alien. I mean, kind of saw this coming. I didn't think it was going to be that much of an upset, but, you know, Luke didn't play terribly at all. Had 233, 56 rush yard, 4 interceptions just kind of come against these teams. There's nothing you can really do. But Shaq, you know, playing like Shaq, you know, 584 pass yards. Icy's starting to run up the stats this season. AK and Toxic in the wide receiver core. No Deadpool, but, you know, that's just kind of a wide receiver. You just have a wide receiver core that's absolutely insane over there. So it really doesn't matter if you don't have Deadpool. Resp popped off with 5 sacks. And Jer Bear on the other side also had 3. So, interesting game. Nothing too noteworthy again. It's just, Aidan, you a snake. Okay, I'm a snake apparently. Sorry, my bad. Going on. We got, Blizzard versus Dragoons. Pretty interesting game to watch. Just shows how much, Lunar is just, like, the best wide receiver in the league. We even had a post-game interview with him, topping 201 yards. Absolutely insane, with 2 interceptions. Dome doing pretty all right. Gardner doing a lot of work on his feet. Really just no really semblance of the passing game that game. But obviously, you know, TD said it themselves. You know, they're trying to get into the flow of the passing game. 8 for 21 is definitely not the best. But, you know, Shaq didn't make 1 throw. True. He went 0 for 34. But, yeah, I mean, CJ looking pretty nice that game. 99 with 4, but ultimately the defense kind of just giving up a lot to Blizzard. You know, there were some 50s. There were some plays that could have made the game go differently. Ultimately, a bit closer than the score suggests. And that's not even because I'm biased. It's just, that's kind of just what it is. But, yeah, 33-19. Blizzard ultimately taking it. And still, like, pretty convincing. Chlorine's playing well. There were some missed throws to Matt for some reason, but Matt still ended up getting 113 reception yards. So still pretty good nonetheless. And, yeah. But still, Dragoons not, like, losing too much from that match. And, yeah. Then we had Aztecs versus Sentinels. Not a crazy game. Again, Miski did end up throwing 37 times. And really only ended up getting 246 pass yards. Not what you really want to see, but, yeah. Sebward and Bloopy both doing pretty good. Bloopy getting 2 interceptions that game. Jance actually ended up being the one with the most reception yards, but Avoid, again, playing well, as per usual. On defense as well with the 2 interceptions. Did amazing on defense. Antoine. What? Who's Antoine? Put a pic of him on stream. Who? I don't know who that is. There's the last video of him dancing. What? I'm not gonna look it up right now. I'm in the middle of a podcast. I'm in the. You interrupted my flow of thinking, but like rip a man if he was the little kid who eat fast food. What do you mean, do it? Oh my god. Antoine. Oh, that. Oh, he passed? Oh my god, that's terrible. Oh, this kid. Oh, no. Oh my goodness.
Why are we about to eat it?
Oh. That's legitimately terrible. Moment of silence. Moment of silence for him. Okay. Honorary moment of silence for Antoine. I had no idea that was his name. No, that kid was really funny. Okay, Aidan is a snake. Okay, I'm not a snake now, I guess. But, yeah. Anyway, Aztec Sentinels game. Aztecs come out on top. Sentinels did give a bit of a fight, though. Gotta admit. Not a ton of sacks. Oh, well, actually, X-Tail's getting 5 sacks. Grub's getting 3. But, yeah, ultimately, just not too crazy of a game. Yeah. Alien versus Goon Squad. Hollywood, again, 32 times. There's no stats for Luke for some reason. I think they just DC'd, which kind of sucks. But, yeah, I mean, ultimately, Goon Squad, they did put a lot of effort in. Esset and Joshi, I mean, they look pretty good. I know Joshi, I think, is back on DK now, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really sure. Lobo with 3 sacks that game. Nothing too crazy. Again, Alien kind of having not too interesting games this week, but still coming out 2-0, which is nice. Hold on, I lost my place. Okay. Oh, there's Luke's stats before trash. Okay, so 13 for 20, 250. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. What was happening? Okay, Huntsman versus K9. Huntsman did actually put up quite the fight in this game. Looked a bit strangely inconsistent this week, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a bit. 256 for Jaeger on 18 passes. A good amount of rushing, but great performance from Chicken Fat, getting 6 sacks. Lizard, 2. Chicken actually held to 0, but I'm sure he had an impact regardless. Lauren actually came out in that game 452. Vanilla and Dupe both totaling over 200 by just a few yards. I mean, those two men are insane. Cam getting 2 interceptions. And ultimately, Huntsman's line did actually end up popping off. Friday Nighty Daddy getting 6 sacks, and Ulysses getting 5, trying to get back on pace with last season. Ultimately, K9, I mean, still looked like a good game for them, and if Lauren's throwing 452, one could only assume what Jaeger's doing. I mean, not Jaeger, Jipper's doing. Well, one can imagine Jaeger's throwing 256 in this game. But ultimately, not too bad of a game from Huntsman. You'll see the worst game in just a bit, and I'm sure a couple of you guys do know about the worst game, so yeah. Comet versus Blizzard. Quite an interesting game because Blizzard did end up holding their own pretty well. Again, Lunar, the lead wide receiver on the side of Blizzard. Record, the lead wide receiver by quite a margin on the side of Comets. Ultimately, still showing something in some sort of a weakness in Comets, as Comets did not really struggle against Royals, but they did not put up as many points as I thought they would have. And certainly didn't on Blizzard either. Comets looked a bit slow, only completing like 15 passes. Dome ended up throwing 34 times and only completing 17, but still for 310. It is a little bit telling about Comets. I think I moved them down in my power rankings because of that. Yeah, no, I did. But just like a couple of slow games this week, not looking the best. Still coming out on top, obviously, but you're held to a pretty high standard against teams that are like considered to be bottom 10. I mean, other than Royals, because Royals on top, but, you know, I mean, in Blizzards isn't bottom 10 at all, but, like, you know, it's still a team that's significantly below you, and you have to make sure, you know, you're finishing. Yeah, I'm gonna stop myself right there. Next game, Sentinels versus Fade. Actually, quite a banger. Interesting to see Fade kind of go off in these games. Not a Deagle, not playing too bad. Had some pretty good passes. Both quarterbacks with some really great passes, because Miskey actually kind of popped off this game. Not too many pass yards on either side, but in terms of the rush game, both teams looking pretty nice, but both teams also not doing a lot to stop it. 0 sacks through the entire first half, may I add, and there were just not a lot of sacks this game. X-Tails, again, coming up with 3, 8 in total. Actually looking pretty nice. Looking pretty nice for him. Nice guy they got there. Who they actually only subbed in the second half. Completely forgot about that, because they ended up finding a crash in Nova Terra. But ultimately, not too much. I mean, it does definitely tell the competitiveness of False Idols. Because, you know, I didn't really put them too high in power rankings, but I do think that they are still pretty competitive. Obviously, need to put out results this week, and they'll end up moving up. If they don't, they'll probably stay near the bottom. And yeah, but ultimately, a nice game. Definitely go and watch it. It was on my channel. That sounded really biased now. But yeah. And now getting over to probably what was the biggest banger of the week. Aztecs versus Kingsmen. Aztecs going up to 2-0. Kingsmen going down to 0-2. I mean, brutal loss for Kingsmen. Again, they'll probably come back up because of Sparks, but it just kind of highlighted, like, again, like, you know, Cam's still throwing 14 of 19. But again, like, the wide receiver core, I mean, not looking all too good. I mean, obviously, when you're looking at, like, the numbers, it's, like, okay. But, like, I still feel like that's the weakness. Days throwing 359. Avoid popping off this game. I mean, this man is insane with 181 reception yards and 2 interceptions. I mean, yeah, he's just, like, he's like the Lunar of Aztecs, essentially. And I'm just saying the Lunar of Aztecs. I would say, I mean, obviously, Avoid's just, like, absolutely cracked, but, you know, Lunar's the homie. But, I mean, I don't know. Aztecs looking absolutely great this week. Days looking really great. 103 rush yards and 359 pass yards. And, again, looking really nice in the tackle department, too. Playing really well at linebacker. And, ultimately, I think if they keep playing like this, I mean, they should remain top 10 teams in the GFA, and definitely a team to look out for in the playoffs. Standings are out in general. Oh, yeah, I did see that. But, yeah, Aztecs going absolutely nutty this week, and demoting Kingsman for sure. We'll see, obviously, like, Sparks come in, they'll probably beat up some team with Khan. Oh, well, Yuffie's also there as well. Yeah, they don't have that bad of a wide receiver core. Okay, maybe I was overshooting it, but I know Yuffie is a bit rusty. Some of my inside sources have told me that. But yeah, should be fun to watch when Sparks goes over there. But ultimately, Aztecs on top for now. IP versus Darkside. Darkside kind of came out of nowhere this game. I had, like, no idea that they were going to do this, because I just didn't really know where they were. But yeah, Handsome throwing 354. I mean, he looks like he's in his old form.
Dude, there's no way.
DS
this guy's,
picking
like,
off.
actually cheating. He's
Okay,
actually
Chad
cheating. How the hell
Burrito
did he
coming
do
in
that?
with the prime
Royals
streak for
on
4
top.
months. Appreciate it, my man. Can't wait to watch you guys at 10 when you guys take on IP at 10. Yeah, make sure you come out to that, because I'll also be streaming that. But, yeah, Darkside versus Iron Phoenix. I mean, Iron Phoenix kind of got stomped a bit. Again, Hook's not looking too bad. Good, Bad, Ugly not looking too bad. Eli Rampage doing well, as per usual. 6 interceptions thrown by Clifton Harler. Again, he's got to kind of wipe some of that dirt off, because throwing 38 times, throwing 6 picks, and only 17 completions, probably not what you want to be doing. And, you know, Handsome ultimately outperformed him, and that's kind of that. Not too many sacks. Both O-lines doing pretty nice in that regard, but a bit telling about Iron Phoenix, because they do put up a fight against Darkside, but, like, I mean, not Darkside, Dragoons, both start with a D, kind of confused me. But yeah, EMP coming in, 180, looking pretty nice as well. So yeah, going on to the next game. got Comets versus Royals, and again, another game that I want to touch on. Riding Keys coming in for his GFA debut. Sorry, but you suck, actually. Ended up getting 105. Vis getting 137. Mike throwing 14 for 30. Obviously not too great. And JBL popping off on the defensive side of the ball with 6 interceptions. Sorry. And throwing 395. Looked pretty damn good. Huck 2 getting 6 sacks. Getting off to a nice start this season, the sack department. But Outcast and Chad Burrito both getting 4, absolutely popping off. And honestly, if people were considering Royals to be, like, you know, very far below everyone, I mean, they're getting competitive with Comets. I mean, they're still keeping him under the range. Visk picked off JBL once. I mean, Comets, you know, people think they're some indestructible team, but maybe we found a few holes somewhere. D? Okay, look, just because I say the letter D does not mean I mean the phallic thing, okay? We shan't talk about that. Then going over to Title versus Huntsman. This was, very interesting game. AK-41, 257 reception yards. I mean, absolutely crazy. DP with 182 too, absolutely popping off. But I mean, AK was just the MVP of this game by far. Shaq also throwing pretty well, 25-30, 530. Oh, I thought that was like 35. Okay, damn, he threw very well this game. Okay, maybe he's looking like the MVP, scoring 10 total touchdowns. Absolutely crazy. I mean, you don't see that often, especially like against a team like Huntsman. I mean, they just got completely stopped by Title. Grubb with 8 sacks this game, too. Saw a couple of GFA, Season 2 at least, single game records put up now. Obviously not that big of a sample size, but really, really great performance from Title and Huntsman. Got some explaining to do. This is the place where the sun doesn't shine true. DK versus Pride. Another interesting game. Nick threw 11 for 30 for 249. DJ threw 11 for 27. So both quarterbacks not doing the best, but DJK working a lot harder on his feet to get the dub. And I think it was 9 interceptions. Yeah, 9 interceptions in total. Matta getting 3. DJK getting 2. I mean, that's just not what you want to see from either one of those quarterbacks. Matta having a nice game with 140 over 5. Milk having a nice game as well with 131 over 5. We'll see where those free agency pickups will end up replacing. I forgot they have Insanity over there as well. Pretty interesting. Nothing too crazy in the sack game. Fenchy ended up having a nice day with 4. Charlemagne with 3. But ultimately, Pride showing that they are competitive. I mean, obviously, the Bamanik offense is an interesting offense, but still, Pride, I mean, they're looking pretty good, especially with Spades coming in. That's going to be a big pickup for them, and I don't think people recognize that. I mean, they could look like a playoff contender if they keep going. Once Spades actually comes in, I think it's like next week, 2nd game, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's going to ultimately impact things quite a bit. Shinigami versus Darkside. Nothing much to say about this game. This game was a bit of a blowout. Shinigami flexing their muscles a bit with their talent. Mai with 223 over 12. Sean with 201 over 7. Devco with 150 over 7. I don't know who that is. But MVP 26 for 36 over 574. Again, MVP having one hell of a week. I think he's probably going to end up securing the division MVP if Shaq doesn't for this week. Offensive MVP. He did end up having 3 picks though, and a game that didn't really look too good for Handsome. 9-22, but again, you're playing against quite the team, and Darkside, I mean, still isn't quite there yet. 132 for 4 for EMP, so he had a nice day. 5 sacks for the side of Vortex. Again, that Shinigami line is going to get tough if, it isn't already. So definitely look out for them. Shinigami definitely going to be rising up the rankings if they keep going that way. King 9 against Kingsman. Again, another game where it was like, interesting for Kingsman because, again, coming in is considered possibly a top 5 team. Cloud9 kind of just deleted them. 487 for Jipper as he comes in, beats up that defensive core Kingsman, which shouldn't be that bad. I mean, but they hold them pretty strong. Chicken Fat getting 6 sacks. I mean, I think he's in the lead in the league for sacks. Chicken with 3, and Dootmean with 227. Jipper still ultimately spreading the ball out, but damn, I mean, Dootmean, Vanilla X, Cam still literally unbeatable. I don't see how they're ever going to move out of that first place spot, and I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how they're going to really lose. It's going to be an interesting ride to watch them this season as they look to get their revenge after losing to GF, who isn't even in the league last season. We're getting to the end of the games here. We got Dragoons versus Iron Phoenix. Again, another interesting game to watch as Dragoons makes the comeback against Iron Phoenix. But again, Iron Phoenix held pretty well. Again, this is the game where Good, Bad, Ugly kind of popped off with 169. But other than that, I mean, the wide receivers were held in check. A good amount of sacks coming out. Sport getting 4 from the other side. But, I mean, other than that, line played nice contain. Gardner with 10 for 15 of 148. They did not focus on the air. They went back to the ground, getting 263 on the ground. Absolutely insane. I don't really think that's going to be passed for the rest of the season. But Iron Phoenix, I mean, they have to pick up that rush defense, because if Gardner's running on them, I mean, you look at some of these other ones, like this line, the line on TD is, like, surprisingly good. Like, if you guys watch them, like, Alexander Baus has been making things happen. As long as they work on their discipline, they'll look pretty nice. But, I mean, if Gardner's running over them, like, imagine what, like, Jipper can do. I mean, obviously, Jipper's going to take to the air, but, I mean, once you go down the line at more run-focused quarterbacks, I mean, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Not going to talk about my 3 picks. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, Con, you guys kind of, like, stomped, so, I mean, I didn't really focus on a lot of stats. I'm sorry. I'll go back and talk about your 3 picks. Yeah, Con had 3 picks. Or you weren't really stomping. I mean, you weren't stomping everyone. But, you know. You were stomping everyone, Con. You were just the star of the show, you know? I mean, you were absolutely beautiful. I'm sorry. That was like, I had no idea. I like just forgot what I was talking about for a sec there. But yeah, next match, second to last, Royals and Pride. That was a pretty interesting match to see. Visk just, like, yeah, 240 for 10. I mean, this is why he's basically the best wide receiver in the league. Just ignore Lunar exists, and, yeah. I mean, this man went insane on the offensive side of the ball. And, Mike B, not doing too bad, not doing too shabby. 15 for 26 over 347. Bominick doing a bit better this game, 238. 14 for 27. It had 115 rush yards, so, you know, did do a little bit of popping off, but ultimately Mike B outgains. Had an interception as well. Bominick also with an interception. Cuzzy with 105, but ultimately a lot of those yards came from the ground. But again, Royals establishing that, hey, they are here to play. Pride here to play as well. Going to be interesting what they do this week. Going to be interesting to see what Royals does this week. See what ends up happening there. And then we had Polar Opposites versus DK, which was an interesting blowout. Magician throwing 20-25 for 505. 224 over to Quan. Bob with 165 popping off that game. 1 interception. All wide receivers over 100, or wide receivers and running back. And DJK held to 8 of 26. And again, it was an interesting blowout. A lot of deep throws, 0. Ended up catching a lot of deep passes and getting some yak. But, I mean, ultimately, DK not looking too hot in this game. But again, they're going to have some reinforcements coming in, and it will be interesting to see. And that is all of the matchups from this week. And we will now go over to the power rankings for this week. So as you can see, K9 remaining on top. Did end up switching Title and Comet, because again, I mean, you know, Title I think did look stronger than Comets this week. You know, a bit of a variance in opponents, but ultimately I do think that Title is showing more than Comets is, at least on the, you know, receiving core, defensive core side of the ball, you know, just you know, in general, cornerback play is what I'm more referring to. Polar Opposites on top of Shinigami. I mean, I did put them here this week. Nothing really changed here. After that win, I mean, Shinigami still might move up again with the addition of Jadarius with better play. but, for right now, it is here. So Aztecs moving up quite a lot, moving from 11 to 6, if I'm not mistaken. I just forget my own power rankings all the time. But, it's hard not to put them there. I mean, yo, what's up, Dingus? Bogues in the club. Yeah, I mean, Aztecs, they look pretty good. I mean, Daze is looking pretty good. Avoid is looking great. That entire team as a whole is just, sticking together and playing, surprisingly well, in my opinion. So, I mean, honestly, they've earned the 6th spot, at least this week, Things could always turn around. What's up, Komoro? Amazing performance from the Aztec boys this week. You gotta love to see it. But, yeah. Blizzard staying put up there. I mean, nothing really changed. They still did pretty good this week. Still showing that they got the stuff, but again, had that weird game against TD, still lost, could end up falling, but as long as they, stay consistent, stay as a over 600 team in the coming weeks, they should be fine sitting around this area. Kingsman ended up moving down. I still kept them at 8 because I know Sparks is coming up eventually. I don't think Sparks is playing this week. I think I just kept them at 8 because I know that they can, they can definitely still compete. I mean, I think they'll move back up in the coming weeks, but obviously you can't really ignore that game against Aztecs. Aztecs still did end up whooping them a bit and did come out 2-0 looking pretty nice, but, considering that they're 2-0, I can't really move Kingsman that far down. Daconados sitting at 9. I think I kept them around here. I think I moved them down 1. Still looking pretty okay, and TD, I keep them in the same place, still looking all right. Huntsman, I ended up moving down because they had some questionable performances, but Jaeger's still looking nice. I mean, I expect them to move back up into the top 10, but of course, after the week that they had this week, you can't really ignore it. Still putting them there. UFO having a nice week, but, the strength of schedule wasn't crazy. Still looking pretty nice. Could end up moving up in the coming days when they face some more difficult opponents, which they will be facing. Yeah, Sentinels again, still looking pretty nice, but again, strength of schedule. Royals moving up from the depths, getting up to 14. Huntsman is top 7. I mean, you can make an argument, but they just didn't perform like it this week. I think that they can move back up to top 7 because I did have them top 7. So, yeah. Royal and Pride both performing pretty well. Again, not enough to really justify them going above Sentinels, because Sentinels still did kind of hold their ground this week. But, yeah, Darkside moving up from the depths, because I actually got to see a game from them. And, I mean, Handsome's not looking all too bad, but he will still have to improve his game. Team as a whole will have to keep going. EMP playing really nicely. See what we see from him in the coming weeks. False Idols and GS both kind of at the bottom here. IP here as well. Also 0-2. What was the score of the Aztecs versus Kingsman game? It was a whooping. What do you mean? No, Aztecs versus Kingsman was 35-31, but Aztecs ended up going 2-0, so I just kind of moved them up a lot. But I think Aztecs, Blizzard, Kingsman are still close. I don't think it's drastic, but I did want to put Aztecs there just to give a nudge. Yeah, and I think then there's a bit of a drop-off to Daconados, and then there's a bit of a drop-off to TD, Hunt, UFO, then there's a bit of a drop-off to Sentinels, Royal, Pride, and then there's a bit of a drop-off to DS, and then there's a bit of a drop-off to False Idols, IPGS. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. Then it's K9, then drop-off Title Comet, then drop-off PO Shinigami, then drop-off. So, there's still teams that are pretty close. I just kind of ordered them just based off, the results and all of that. And yeah, that's my power rankings. On to, the match predictions, because, we got some spicy matchups, especially, Title versus Comet, which I will be casting tomorrow on the official GFA, channel. That's going to be a really fun match. I do think Title's going to come out on top. Again, I do think Title is much stronger, not much stronger, but stronger in general than, Comet is. Again, going to be a really, really nice, nice game to watch. Definitely come out to that one. Support GFA. Huntsman versus PO. I mean, just with the whooping we saw against Title, I think that PO can deliver the same thing, considering what they delivered to Daconados, because that was kind of a weird match. It's going to be an interesting game to watch. The Huntsman could end up holding their ground, but I'm giving it 54-20. UFO versus Pride, I think UFO will come out on top. Again, they've been pretty consistent beating teams around the tier of Pride, so we shouldn't really see anything too crazy. Still will be probably not UFO going above 35, because Pride's offense can take a lot of time off the clock, so they can keep it close with that, but I still see UFO winning it. Aztecs versus GS. Aztecs should take this no problem. I think they may score a bit more, but I'm just keeping it conservative, 34-14. K9 versus False Idols. K9 should win this no problem. Kingsman versus Blizzard, going to be a pretty interesting matchup. I do give it over to Blizzard because I do have them above them, and I think as long as I have a dome, Lunar keeps everything moving, I think everything will go just fine for Blizzard. Kingsman can definitely put a lot of competition in. Wide receiver core, lineman core still great. Despite the fact they have Sparks coming in next week and not this week, it's still fine. They're still a good team. They probably just had like a couple of bad games, and we'll end up seeing what happens. Sentinels versus Royal, gonna be a fun game to watch. I am giving Royal the upset, because I still think they are a pretty good team, and they still do have some players. It's going to be really nice to watch the wide receiver core go against each other, because Bloopy and Sebward have been working hard on the side of Sentinels, but I do think that ultimately Royals can come on top of this game as long as they play well, as long as Mike B is accurate and all of that. Should be pretty fine as long as one cornerback on the side of the other team does not get 6 interceptions. Should be looking okay. Shinigami versus IP. Shinigami should win this no problem. IP could, maybe rub some of the dust off, but ultimately I don't really think so. And then DS versus DK. I think DK should take care of it. Handsome may give him a bit of trouble, but ultimately DK may end up running up the score a bit. Where's the title versus AZ prediction? It's on the next slide, because I kind of only can fit this many matches into the graphic. And then your goons have a bye this week, and there's your prediction. I do think title will come out on top. I do have to give it the title because I do think they're probably one of the best teams in the league, but Aztecs definitely going to be a bit of a thorn in their side. If Aztecs ends up upsetting this one, it's going to be insane. Hey, I'm rooting for them. I'm always rooting for the underdog, trust me. But I think title should end up winning. It might be a bit of a shootout if it does come to it. We'll see how that ends up going. Huntsman versus Kingsman, again, another game where it's like, it could be a shootout, but I think Kingsman will ultimately come out on top just with all the rankings and everything. I do think Kingsman has a better team all around. Should be interesting to watch. UFO versus False Idols, again, shouldn't be much of a problem for UFO. Just a quick one too. GS versus K9. It's not 65-14 GS. I actually screwed that up. I thought K9 was on the other side. K9 65-14 over GS. I accidentally messed that up, but you could screenshot that for the memes if you want. Shinigami versus Comet. I think Comet will come out on top, but Shinigami again could be a thorn in their side. Comets I think ultimately is the stronger team, but I think if it's any of the games that will kind of expose Comets just a bit early on. Yeah, GS with the 40 or the 51 point upset. That's gonna be interesting. But Shinigami versus Comet going to be a really great game to watch. So make sure you guys go out to that one. I'm not sure who's taking it. It's not gonna be me most likely, but it should be like an absolute banger to watch. If Shinigami exposes Comets, they're moving up, and Comets, might move down. But, Comets, then again, just might not have anything to expose. Maybe they just had a bad week. And they didn't even have a bad week, because they still technically went 2-0. But, Polar Opposites versus TD. I think Polar Opposites will take this one. TD, I'm just being biased because I like TD, but, could be a thorn in their side if they play up to them. That's going to be casted by Soup Loops. I usually cast TD games, but Soup Loops is the PO caster, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you can have it, because I kind of wanted to get off my computer by like 10:40. I've been doing shit on it all day, so yeah. DK versus Blizzard. This is actually where I'm expecting an upset. I'm just like, this is just going to be my upset of the week, like GS was last week against UFO, which obviously didn't happen, but Blizzard, I think, they could possibly slip up this game if DK can run it up on him like Gardner did, because Gardner did put up a lot of rush yards, and DK put up a good amount of rush yards last week. Could be very interesting to watch. And 35-31, going to be a nice one. Pride versus Darkside. I'm expecting Pride to take this one. But again, Darkside may, end up popping off. But Pride, considering that they were competitive against Royal, and Darkside, did struggle a bit this week, I think that Pride can take it as long as they stop Handsome. And then we got Royal versus IP. Royal should be able to win with this one with how good their offense has been looking. And, yeah. That's pretty much my predictions for the week. And that pretty much does it for the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know there wasn't, like, too much this week again, but I've been pretty busy with schoolwork and stuff, and you know, it's been a bit of a rough week. I was also sick a lot, which really sucked. I just found out what breathing feels like today. You know, that was pretty interesting. I forgot what breathing clearly felt like for about a week, so that was pretty nice to figure out what that felt like again. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to follow. Hit up the Twitter if you want to. Hit up the YouTube if you want to. Not posting that much on my YouTube, but you know, just you can hit up with a sub if you want to. Yeah, next episode should be on Monday, because I think we are switching it to Mondays now, just because it coincides with everything. Like it's just better with the weeks. All the games will be done, and Monday at 7 will likely be before all the games. Yeah. Make sure to come out to the stream tonight at 10. We're casting Royals vs. IP. Gonna be a banger, hopefully. I think Royals will take care of them, but we'll have to see. Royals, will they come out on top this week? Who knows? Yeah, looking to maybe go to 2-1 against IP, who's looking to end their drought of losses after the first week. Gonna be an interesting game. Not sure what other games I'm casting this week. Oh, well, I'm casting on the GFA official channel. That'll be fun to watch. Baus will be observing for me, so you guys don't have to watch me struggle with the observer cam. GFA Live is premiering tomorrow on the GFA official channel. That's just going to be like a recap, kind of like what I did, just with, like, you know, quicker, you know, flash stuff. Not going to be covering all of the games. But yeah, should be fun. We got some fun stuff planned, hot takes, all that good stuff. Make sure to come out, GFA official channel, support the GFA, all that good stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys all at the cast later. Make sure to come out, 10 p.m. Eastern, and we'll get to see some Royals versus IP action. Yeah. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night if you don't come out to the cast later. If you come out to the cast later, I will wish you a wonderful rest of your night. Anyway, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. Bye.